attorney who goes to work every day to fight for our community and defend our Constitution. My name is Christina Like, and now I want to be your next circuit court judge. And that means ensuring our constitutional rights are protected, protecting the innocent lives of our children, making decisions based upon rule of law and not politics, making court more affordable, and always placing the people first.
Livingston County deserves a judge who understands the job. As a senior prosecutor and former judicial law clerk, I offer just that. I've handled serious cases at every level, including the Michigan Supreme Court, and I've also served inside the circuit court, advising judges and drafting judicial opinions. As your circuit court judge, I will bring legal excellence, stability, and continuity to our courts for decades to come. Invest in the future of Livingston County. Vote Christopher Candela for 44th Circuit Court Judge.
All rise for this week's Judicial Minute with Christopher Candela.
I'm Christopher Candela, and I'm running to be your next Circuit Court Judge here in Livingston County. Today we're talking about what a prosecutor...
Someone once said, where your treasure goes, there also will be your heart. What kind of world do you want to invest in? Do your investments fund industries that tempt people to harm relationships? What if you could be more intentional with your money? What if your investments built content that enriched others' minds? Jason Huntley, CFP, has been guiding families for 30 plus years to plan, invest, and build for the next generation. Scan the QR code now to make that first step to investing intentionally.
Good evening and welcome to the end of June. Oh my gosh, we are the end of June. We got one more week of June on a podcast to go, and this is horrible. I've been saying this since every week since May. This is awful. To the Right Side Podcast, I'm Deb Drick, the chair of Livingston County Podcast, or Livingston County Republican Party, and the podcast, I guess. And tonight I have a special guest. Welcome back, the chair of the Livingston County, not the Republican Party. I almost gave you that title. I need to start this all over again. The chair of Livingston County Board of Commission, Nick Fiani. So welcome back, Nick.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. So we'll jump right into what is new at the county. It's been a while since I've had anybody here for the county. I think Frank was here. Commissioner Sample was here probably February or something, and I think I haven't had anybody since. So tell us what's new, what's exciting, what's going on, what's happening in the county.
Well, to jump right into it, I'm excited to share that coming up on July 4th, we'll be having Livingston County's celebration of America's 250th anniversary. We'll be doing what I would consider a very elaborate fireworks show at Howell High School's freshman campus. Doors will basically open at 7:30 p.m. Everyone is welcome. It is no admission. It's free of charge. It's going to be a very family-friendly event, and it's going to certainly be nonpartisan.
Okay.
The purpose is to celebrate America, and everyone is welcome. The county is very proud and excited to share as well that no tax dollars are being utilized.
Oh, I expect nothing less from our Republican Commission.
Yes, no county funds, no tax dollars will be utilized to host this event. It is being strictly funded through private donations and sponsorships. In fact, if anyone would like to sponsor or be a sponsor for this grand scale event, you're more than welcome to. There's still time. There'll be opportunities to include your whether it's logos or a name or whatever you would like to represent on the marketing materials.
Okay. So, what are the sponsorships? Do you have any? You know what they are? Or what they cost?
I don't have the whole list memorized offhand, but I do know it ranges from all levels of $250 up to $5,000.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
And certainly all levels are welcome.
No, encouraged.
Yes. Yep. And I also do have to give a shout out to Fowlerville and their fireworks committee. They've been very supportive. Typically, they host.
I was going to say, yes.
Yes, they host the annual fireworks show on the 4th of July. And this year, they're holding their famous Fowlerville Parade and fireworks show on July 5th. So
is that a Sunday? No.
It is a Sunday. It is a Sunday.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that because we were kind of thinking about doing it. So, all right,
Yeah.
change of plans. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. So tell me, I mean, it wouldn't get dark till 9:30
Yes.
minimum, maybe 9:45. So what would happen between 7:30 and 9:30?
Yes. Well, initially 7:30 you want to get there and get a good spot. But
Okay.
with the fireworks show that we'll be holding, it's gonna be remarkable. From all the details I've seen and heard so far, it will be a professional fireworks show.
Okay.
The fire department the Howell Fire Department has been supportive and signed off on it as well.
Okay.
We will have professionals throughout the entire evening managing the show. And in terms of the event itself, there is a proposal right now for food trucks to be present, so you
Okay.
can attend
Okay.
with your family,
Oh, nice.
get something to eat, set up, meet, mingle, have a good time.
Okay,
and
so
socialize.
there's no like I guess MC or any of that stuff beforehand. It's not like, between 7:30 and say 9:30 there's no speakers or there are.
So there may be a couple speakers. I am still
Okay.
hearing about some different options in terms of the itinerary, but
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a couple speakers beforehand as well.
All right. Interesting. Do you have any kind of opportunity for booths or I mean,
Mhm.
putting up a tent and selling lemonade or selling crafts or any of that sort of thing?
There will be an opportunity. Depending on the scenario, for example, if it's a booth to market, then that would be tied into the sponsorship. But if you're more so looking to be a vendor, so to speak, there will be an opportunity for that. Yes.
We're kind of getting down the wire here.
Yes.
So, I mean, do we have any idea on cost for the vendors or whatever? I was thinking, I mean, we do, the Pinckney Food Truck Friday. We have the Republican Party does a booth. The Bunny Seasoning does a booth.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm just wondering what would be available there.
Yeah, so I will have to circle back with the
Circle back with
committee,
that.
but yeah, absolutely. And if anybody is interested, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will place you in touch with the committee.
This would be me reaching out to
Yes.
you right now. So, yes. On a couple different levels.
Okay, I have that
we
note.
have candidates that
yes.
would like to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's plenty of county, even nonpartisan candidates that would like to do this. So it's not
Yes.
just Republicans.
Yes. So,
Sounds good to me.
it's going to be a great time.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that, especially now that we don't have an evening parade that would compete with it, because that would have been tough because the party was going to try to do a parade for that night. So I'm glad you told me that.
Yes.
All right. Well, then we don't care about anything else. Now our whole weekend is settled. We can just end the show now. So no, tell us more about the county then.
Oh, the county is
We in good shape?
Oh, phenomenal
Okay.
shape. It's the county is this is a remarkable county to be a part of, to live in. I say this all the time. I'm so grateful. I'm so humbled to be able to serve in the capacity I do, because this is just a phenomenal county. We actually just received our annual audit from our
Nice.
Yes, from our third-party auditing firm. In summary, we received what would be considered an A+. Everything was in order. Everything was properly managed. We have the proper checks and balances throughout the county, and our financials are very healthy. We have a very comfortable fund balance, fund reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Our expenditures are very properly aligned with our revenues. We've concluded the appropriation and spending of the ARPA funds that we had received a few years back.
I remember.
Most of it, I would say, went to public safety, first responders, infrastructure development, and there's no question from what I've heard over the months and over the years that is a primary focus of the residents of Livingston County, to continue to fund infrastructure, public safety, first responders, and we hear you loud and clear, and we greatly appreciate your input. And we certainly appreciate all those who keep our county such a great place to live.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I wonder. I listen to this, listen to it as a constituent, as a commissioner's wife, as a Republican. I listen to this on a lot of different levels. But one level I listen to is I kind of wonder what any elected officials from other counties that watch this or will watch this on a rerun, think of that, hearing that about our county, and it just makes me wonder. So if there's anybody out there watching that is an elected official in another county that does not have this, either call in or check in online here and tell us what does this sound like to you. I am a little shocked. Mark Ashley Price must not be here because I have not had 5 texts by him already. So, and I've got people watching. I can see the lights all over the place. So, but I haven't got any comments yet. So I want to make sure the comment thing is working. So if you're watching, type hello in the comment there, and just so I know that we're getting it. If I don't get any comments, then I know there's a problem. So just say hi Deb or something in there. Or hi Nick, or hi Tyler, or whatever. So let's check. Tyler, would you type something in there? So Tyler also watches on a separate thing. So let's just see make sure we're getting. Oh, there we go. Okay. And Rob, are you watching? Rob, are you watching? Okay, hot dog. Oh, there's Tyler. Tyler, you're watching through the YouTube, right? And Rob, are you on RobRod? Is that the account you're on? There's Mark Ashley Price. Mark, you are the 3rd person to comment. I am so disappointed. I cannot believe this. I usually turn it on and I got 3 comments by you already. So I just wonder where everybody's watching from. So if I have a faulty issue, I need to know where. So okay, well thanks for letting me know. At least I know that works. All right, so interesting to hear as we were to go back to where we were. Nick was talking, or Commissioner Fiani was talking about the Livingston
audit.
County, yes, having the audit and having all the A pluses and everything was perfect, and your everything is just great fund balance, paid all the bills, and do our employees get starved, or do they get raises every year?
No, they every year. Every year since I've been on the board, they receive a what we reference as a COLA increase, and
okay.
And that's on top of what is referenced as a step increase.
Oh, okay. So they get raises. Okay. Yes. So it's not like we're building our fund balance, our little vault full of cheese down there on the backs of the employees. So they do get raises. Everybody gets raises. Good. So it's good. So I mean, how does that happen, Nick? Because so many counties are underwater. They're borrowing. They're millaging. They're doing the fear mongering. Oh my God! If we don't we'll have to start laying off police officers. Blah blah blah. So how does it happen? And what advice? First of all, let's start there. Well, how does that happen? How do you guys get to this point where you are just
fiscally healthy?
Fiscally. Yes. You're not fiscally healthy. You are fiscally like Superman. I mean, you guys are not healthy. You guys are like immortal. In
a word, collaboration.
Okay.
It all comes down to collaboration. There's such a great mutual respect among the board, the department heads, the elected officials, our county administration, our county CFO, and then all the wonderful employees that make this whole thing work. I would say it comes down to collaboration.
Okay.
There's transparency. When the board takes into account all the requests we receive, we look at a very high level in terms of trying to prioritize across the county. We take into account how, myself personally, and I've said this since day one, every time there is some type of fiscal request that comes through, or when I'm evaluating the budget, I truly think to myself, is this something that somebody who lives in Genoa Township, Osceola, Marion Township, City of Brighton, they go in, they work probably at a minimum 40 hours a week, they pay their property taxes. If I went to them, knocked on their door and said, I'm spending your money on this item, could I say that with my head held high and be confident that they would say, okay, I understand, thank you. I think that's a good dedication of the financial resources. And I think the board thinks in those terms as well. And again, the county administration, the department heads. And the department heads do a remarkable job. Every year we have a very thorough budgeting process. Throughout that process, there's multiple levels. There's several evaluations in terms of what they view as priorities for their departments. And it's really great because ultimately we're able to, the board of commissioners and the administration is able to take every department and look at it and look at what the needs are, what the priorities are, and then compare that across the county to
Okay.
all the departments that we oversee and do a full analysis. And we've already started our budgeting process essentially. So a couple of weeks ago we had our first workshop, and we're about 9 months out or so, maybe, well, at least 6 months out. When we started, we were probably about closer to 9 months out. So.
Okay. Well, that's good that you guys, have that. It gives you guys time to think about it, to think through it, to examine options, and you're not just jamming it through. So let's take a couple statements here. First of all, greetings from Waynes County. Here's Mark Ashley Price. Whoops. Hi, thanks for all you do from the awesome Karen Bukowski. Okay, fine. We'll let it go this time, Mark. Did you ever run for the Michigan State Board of Ed?
Years ago.
I do not remember you doing that. I remember you running for state rep about 1,100 years ago, but I do not remember the Board of Ed. Okay. Wow, Mark Ashley Price, you've got a good memory. Don't mess with his memory. So, yes, yeah. Nick is very good, very fiscally responsible. So let's go to the next part of that same question, and that is for any elected official watching now, what would you say? Let me be more specific rather than be general in a helpful way. Are you watching what's going on in Pinckney?
The Village of Pinckney, I believe.
Village of Pinckney, yes, Village of Pinckney. And they're having some. The board chair has come out and said, they're struggling. They're underwater. The can has been kicked down the road too far. They're now worried about the police department, and they're a bunch of hoopla. And I got to tell you, what's his name? Is it Jeff?
Well, the Pinckney Village Council president is Jeff Bierman.
Okay, Jeff, yes. I want to give some kudos to Jeff because it's so easy and so common when you get into that kind of state government, or I'm sorry, not state government, local government, that these are your neighbors and you have to make a tough call. And it's easier when you're in a higher position, somewhere in the state because your constituents are far away and not necessarily. So in a village situation, when you have to make a decision like that, everybody every time you walk around, you go to the grocery store, you walk around the block with your dog, is affected. So he's calling for some tough decisions, and I applaud him. Jeff, I don't know if you're watching or if anybody's knows him, please commend him for having the straight talk. I'm a firm believer, those who know me know this, I'm a firm believer is telling things straight. Don't sugarcoat them. Don't be rude. You don't have to be mean, but you don't sugarcoat them. Tell people, especially taxpayers, have the right to know what's going on. So anyway, so that's something to be very proud of. So now, having said that, Nick, what advice would you give Jeff?
Well, he sounds like from what I understand, very well versed in the financial operation of the village. I do understand, based upon the brief financial, records or posted financial records that I've had an opportunity to take a glance at, it does look like they're running an annual deficit, which is in general concerning. I understand that they have what I typically reference as fund equity or money in their reserves, but you never want to tap into that for your
day-to-day expenses.
Yeah, yes. For your annual operations.
Yeah.
That's something more so for one-time expenditures, yep. Whether it's a capital project or
a tornado comes by and whips off a roof of a building, yeah. Or whatever, your fire department or whatever. So yes.
So I would be a strong advocate to opposing the utilization of those reserves. I know their budget is, from what I understand, roughly just over $1 million annually, and it's tough. I think the primary opportunity to make the adjustments, I would say, or the analysis, is to just go from the bottom up and just look at and by bottom I mean the budget, like
Right.
and look at all your expenses and go from there. Well, I typically reference it as zero balanced budget and just start at your expenses and just continue to evaluate where you have opportunities to make maybe a one-time reduction and it could be as simple as just a capital project that you might have an opportunity to hold off for a year or two and go from there.
I know that I know that the residents down there are concerned about the police department being on the chopping block, and you get used to having your own police department. I know that there was a big fear in the city of Howell that was going to happen some time ago, but I know city council was pretty adamant that or whoever it was that was pushing it was pretty adamant that there's money to be saved by contracting the sheriff's department. But it all depends on how you want to. But I mean, at the other hand, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, right? So you have to, and you're right. If they use the fund balance to pay their day-to-day expenses, that's just fool. They, any elected official, that's like failing elected official 101. You don't do that ever. Every board, every committee, every board training I've ever been on, that's the first thing you tell you. Fund equity is never, ever, ever spent on operations.
Yeah, your annual operations.
Nope, just on, projects.
Yeah, one time. Yeah,
Yes.
I always reference it as one-time expenditures,
Yep.
whether it's
Yep.
a project or an emergency situation.
That's right.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so anyway, okay, well, so talk about, I think you told me earlier that you guys have worked on a master plan and a strategic plan. What can you tell us about those?
Well, we recently approved the county's 5-year strategic plan.
Okay.
That strategic plan essentially outlines the goals and objectives of the Board of Commissioners. It's a document that is constructed by, revised again by the Board of Commissioners. And again, it represents what the Board of Commissioners hold as top priorities and top objectives in terms of governing for the next 5 years. It is a document that can be amended at the discretion of the board, and I was excited to see this draft get approved. I think the board dedicated a lot of time, thought, and energy into drafting it and finalizing it, and it pretty much focuses on and revolves around pillars and platforms that a lot of the residents of Livingston County regularly support and advocate for. So, for example, part of the strategic plan is to maintain a healthy fund balance. Our policy that the board has self-approved or that has self-implemented is to have a 60% fund equity balance in order to maintain the necessary and healthy reserves, because there's always instances where we have unforeseen circumstances and we have to draw upon those extra funds. In addition to that, we have other parts of the strategic plan that revolve around maintaining the rural character of the county, emphasizing and encouraging agriculture, minimizing development and eliminating overdevelopment. We want to do what we can to prevent overdevelopment within Livingston County. Additionally, there's items that pertain to health and human services. For example, one of the items revolves around the county and the Board of Commissioners annually evaluating the consent forms for opting out of vaccinations for children. We want to make sure that parents have an accessible and efficient process if they wish to opt their kids out and opt them out of the vaccination requirements. There's other items that pertain to the board's diligence in trying to constrain, or I'll even say prevent, this solar farm initiative that has been perpetuated by the state of Michigan and Governor Whitmer, almost unilaterally.
Oh yes.
So we are diligently trying to combat that
Okay, good.
from how and where we
Good.
can.
Good.
So,
So if you can touch on this, or at least we'll just chat on it in a minute. One of the things that was read was there was a big hoopla over the master plan because somewhere in there was a statement that, and I don't remember the exact statement, but I'm betting you'll come up with it. Something about encouraging and expanding media to have your, I don't remember how it was written.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So that was part of the strategic plan.
Okay.
And so there's a reference in part of the strategic plan that says the board of commissioners will work to evaluate and find alternative ways to communicate with the public that don't rely on biased media outlets.
Right.
So I know there was some commentary, particularly
Oh,
from
yes. Yes, there was. Very loud and angry comment.
especially from this phony media source that claims they're unbiased, and yet they happen to be the most biased liberal media outlet I've seen come through this county. And what's so humorous about it is in the commentary opposed, that at least the parts that I saw, because I don't have the time or even care to read it, the clips that were sent to me were just hysterical.
Oh, I know. I think I know right where you're going. Go ahead.
But to highlight the portion that was that we referenced in our strategic plan, all we were trying to state and promote is that the county have some type of mechanism where we can provide strictly factual information that won't be either tarnished or
Twisted.
Or, so that the public spun, so that the public can just get the straight facts.
God, if we only knew a place to do that, if we only had an outlet.
So that and what's funny too is the hostility that was put out by the Livingston Post is
I know, I was shocked.
Baffling.
It was like it should have all been done in caps. It just seemed very, very angry.
Yes.
But the one part, and I didn't get in. I try to stay out of that kind of thing because I do my thing, they do their thing, and frankly, I don't rain on anybody else's parade. There's just no point in me going and saying, hey. But there was one part. And I looked at it in kind of disbelief because it was, I should be saying, it's something like we should be saying, we're sorry we reported when you did this, we're sorry. But they're complaining about the media, about you guys wanting, the biased media. And at the same time, they're talking about they were sorry how they reported how you screamed at Judy Daubenmire to get out of the county. And I thought to myself, if anything exemplified the whole problem, that was it. Because there were multiple witnesses to that exchange. And the exchange, if I remember correctly, because you talked about it on here, plus the multiple witnesses all told me that she was complaining about Livingston County being this or that, and you just kind of looked at her and said, then why do you live here? Why don't you move? If you hate it here so much, why don't you move? And that she kind of lost it a little bit. But here's the thing, and I've known you for a long, long time, and I've seen you ecstatically happy, and I've seen you very angry, but I have never, in the angriest of times, ever heard you raise your voice. You are not a person that raises your voice. I guess if I kicked you a few times, you might yell at me. But I mean, even then, you just don't raise your voice. The other instance was the Sage group claiming Wes screamed at them. Oh my gosh, that's another one. Never raises his voice. So it's like, say something believable. But when I saw that in the Post, I thought, well, doesn't this exemplify? This is it. This is the perfect. This is perfect.
Yes.
Why? Oh, look here. We got a witness. A witness showed up. No screaming by Nick to Judy D. I was a witness. You were one of many. Yes, there were many there that had said that wasn't it at all. It was just simply said, why do you live here? Why don't you move if you hate it here so much? So,
well, And what's interesting is I didn't even draft or craft that portion of the strategic plan. It was a couple other commissioners that
Sure.
and their motivation was we want to just have this outlet where we can present the facts. And what's interesting is the Livingston Post tried to run with this notion that we were trying to censor the media. We don't really care first off, who reads the Livingston Post, so we don't really care what you write. But we're not trying by any means to censor the media. We're trying to just make sure that people have the facts. But what's
That
really,
you're also making sure that there's an outlet that reports it as is.
exactly, just
Right.
the straight facts. What's interesting as well is in terms of the example you utilized, to this day I am baffled at the presentation by the Livingston Post of the scenario with Judy Daubenmire, because I was standing there at the forum conversing with her, and not only were there several people around, but we were literally standing next to WHMI. 2 reporters from WHMI and their setup were adjacent to us. Now, if there was some type of, I'll call it, remarkable moment involving a politician, I would think WHMI would.
Oh, they had that microphone across the room like that.
They could have literally had held the microphone right up to me and Judy and record the whole entire thing, because they were standing in less than an arm's length away. So it just shows you how embellished this scenario was. And to your point, the facts of the conversation were, she approached me. She continued to reiterate her rhetoric about how bad the county is. At which point, I told her, if you're so unhappy here in Livingston County, why don't you just move to a county that has the philosophical beliefs that you are seeking? It just doesn't make sense to live somewhere where you're so unhappy. And Livingston County is overwhelmingly Republican, and that's why I live here.
Sure.
The county aligns with my principles, my philosophies, so that's why I live here. If you are liberal and you really are so unhappy, I don't understand why you would continue to live in Livingston County. I would think you'd seek out, somewhere. And I did. I told her, it seems like she would be happier in Washtenaw County. That she seems
more aligns with what
she's looking for. So.
But to hear later though that you were screaming, that was incredible.
Just absurd.
It was.
Anything to sell a headline.
Yeah, maybe. That is incredible. Thank you for combating the biased media outlets. It's Karen. Also, the progressive biased media outlets don't even hide it anymore. Oh, Karen, you are absolutely correct. Send her to Washtenaw. Better yet, Cook County, Illinois. Well, I think you're right though about not if you're just miserable here, why? Mm-hmm. We are Mark, we are Ruby Red, but we are a predominant Republican county, and it just amazes me to hear the Democrats that move here and then complain that it's Republican. It's like, didn't you look into that before you came? What did you think was going to happen? So interestingly enough, I'm trying to think who I had a battle with recently. It was some sort of, and I don't even battle anymore. I just let it go and keep walking. But somebody hit me with something, and I got annoyed. I was in a mood, and I got annoyed because they called the Republicans the racist, misogynistic, whatever. Not just the Republicans in general, but the Livingston County Republicans were racist and misogynists. And I just kind of had it.
You mean where the party chair is a female?
Yeah. Oh no. And the party vice chair is African American, and the prior chair is Latino, and our finance chair is Asian. Of the commission. So it's like, what are you talking about? And I went to the Democrat Facebook page and I took a picture of they have, big pictures all over the place of their leadership and their whole thing. And I posted this on the Facebook page where I finished saying that. I said, that's the Democrats. I said, Where that's all one color to me. Where's the diversity there? We have diversity. Where's yours? And I said, but the thing is, none of our people, I didn't get elected because I'm a female. Norris didn't get asked to be a vice chair. They asked him I asked him because he was good. Rob was asked, not because there was no DEI there. It was just, they're good people. They're hard workers. We're all hard workers. So we get asked. So there it is. And it's just, that was it. So just wanted to kind of cue up that we are now, once we started this last week, if you're not aware, we're taking phone calls. So if you have anything you want to chat with, we will be doing chat with the chair. We've got a couple topics coming up that we will be talking about. So also, if you have questions for Nick, you can call in and we can discuss them right on the air. So if there's anybody, Tyler, 517-819, I have it on the flyer, but 517-819-1988 is the, with a dash, 1988 is the number. And as soon as this comes up, there we go. That's the number if you want to call in and chat, talk to Nick about anything to do with the county. Was there anything else you guys got?
We did recently approve our master plan as well.
Okay.
The county master plan. So the master plan is constructed by the Livingston County Planning Department, and it's a multi-year process, and they did just a phenomenal job. The time and effort that goes into it is just amazing, and I communicated with them regularly about it, and they kept the commissioners up to date regularly, and they truly, in every step of the process, they did seek out input from the community. So
Okay.
it's truly a document that I believe represents the county very well, the residents of the county, the citizens of the county. And I would say that from my reading of previous master plans and this master plan really locks in the rural and agricultural commitment to the county. There is just a dedication towards maintaining Livingston County's character and this rural and agricultural aspect of life here.
Wonderful. Awesome. And that's why we all live here. Commissioner Nick, the only thing I ask from you is to stay awesome. Hey.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, that's we fully expect him to do that. Stay awesome. Well, we're going to go to a quick commercial. So the number that I'm going to, that's Jay. Never mind. Hold on. Please talk about public safety towers, especially as they go live or when they go live. That's a good thing to talk about.
That was quite a undertaking in and of itself.
It was.
That felt like a full-time job. And so many people contributed to it. The fire chief, Adam Carroll from Heartland area, Under Sheriff Pless, Director 911, Keisha Williams, Therese Camonte, the county director of emergency management. It was just a full-scale effort across the board. So within the county, obviously we have a substantial communication system network for public safety and first responders. We currently have what is referenced as a 800 megahertz tower. We have one of those in the county. We will be expanding that to a total of 5, and we're going to have full coverage throughout the county. They'll be strategically placed so that we'll have full coverage. The 800 megahertz towers are the what's typically referenced as the up to date, the standard for communications. Previously, the standard was as I understand, the VHF system.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are making sure that we're up to date and upgrading, and it is a very expensive project. The entire project is going to be just under $13 million.
Oh, are we going to expect a tax increase on this?
Not a single penny will go up in taxes.
Oh, wow. Through
the board's diligence and commitment to being fiscally conservative.
That's the easiest softball you're going to get all year.
No,
Anyway.
taxes will not be going up. We are paying for this entire project through both the strategic use of the ARPA funds,
Okay.
and then also money that had been deliberately set aside in our fund balance, our fund
Okay.
equity.
Which would be the appropriate use for a
Yes.
fund equity, is the one-time
Yes.
thing. Especially as it continues to, so, and the result of this is going to be better communication, less blackout periods, or less static, or whatever it is, that less problems, I guess that's the way to say it.
Yes, less technological problems, a minimization of any technological interference. It brings us completely up to date, and these towers should be up and running. At this point, we've already been working about 6 months just on the project in general. So at this point, we have roughly another 16 months to 18 months or so before they're fully up and running. But I do have to commend and express my appreciation to a handful of municipalities and entities. One, in terms of entities, being the Livingston County Road Commission. I have to thank, in fact, actually it was one of the road commissioners, Paul Funk, who helped lead the engagement of this. There's a piece of property in the northeastern part of the county that he helped facilitate the road commission to allow the county to utilize the construction of a tower there.
Nice.
And we are very appreciative. I know when this project actually first started, we were receiving quotes and talking to consultants, and every time they came in, they said, well, the technology's X amount, the tower construction's X amount, you have your materials, and then of course your property purchase. And I said, whoa, stop right there. We're not spending a single dollar on purchasing property. And everybody, and we held to that, and every partner we've worked with on this has been very, very amicable in the process. And in fact, actually, we have municipalities like Village of Pinckney and Green Oak Township who are allowing us to use the property, and we're continuing to work through those contracts. So
nice.
Very appreciative of their partnerships.
Nice. Well, once again, Republicans getting her done. So let us go to a commercial. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. And then we're going to get to our 517-819-1988. I'll post that number in a minute. Well, we're going to talk about the two topics. Topic one is, let's talk about President Trump's endorsement of the gubernatorial candidate. And second, let's talk about potential lieutenant governors. How do you see that matching up? Get ready to call.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why? Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
And And we're back. Okay, so this is where, let's do this again here. Wait, where is it? Right there. Okay, put that up there if you, whoops. There we go. There's a number to call. So to begin our, unless anybody has if you still have, comments or questions for Nick, you can call in and we can shift topics. We are not locked into this, but the first topic is, I think some people were surprised. President Trump decided to endorse in the gubernatorial race, and he selected John James. I don't know that was on my bingo cards, but I don't know that it's totally out of line. Hang on, we got comments over here, so let's hide that. Personally, I always vote for Trump's endorsement because he's my favorite president. I'm not crazy about John James, but the president endorsed him. Well, Mark, here's the deal. If you like John James, vote for John James. If you like somebody else, vote for somebody else. Giving anybody else, especially, now listen to what you just said. All right, I'm going to lecture you here for a minute. Aren't you a candidate for Senate? Is this what you want people to know about you? Is that you'll just vote, if you like somebody, you'll just vote the way they tell you to like? You're actually running for a Senate position. And this would be the time for, I'm not saying don't vote for John James. I'm saying if you like John James, vote for John James. But as a Senate candidate, you don't vote for people just because somebody else told you to. That is that's going to cause you problems right there. And then we have Jennifer, who's leaving the Genesee County Republican Party. Well, okay, that's a different topic. Okay, that's I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, is she going to join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Yeah,
that's what I was hoping.
Yeah, okay, you can. Yeah, we'll take you. So yeah, Livingston. Here, wait. Yeah, that was quick thinking.
No, I'm hoping that's the case.
Hang on, there we go. There, you want to join us? That's how you do it, right there. So there's a little ticker tape, but yep, I'm sorry to hear that. So let's back to tonight's chat with the chair discussion topic, and that is President Trump's endorsement of John James. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you not agree? I know I just lectured Mark, but that's just simply because he's a Senate candidate, and hearing a Senate candidate tell me that he's going to vote because somebody else told him to vote got me ready to swat him. So, and Jennifer says that she's more upset that Nesbitt left the election. Yeah, that was the other thing. On top of John James getting the endorsement, it was immediately followed up with Eric Nesbitt's not only resignation, but also endorsement of John James. So now you have John James, who has the endorsement of Tom Leonard, and also, former candidate Tom Leonard, and also former candidate Eric Nesbitt. So that's kind of interesting. That was also not on my bingo card. So not saying it's, terrible bad thing. It just wasn't something I expected. At least now I would have thought that had been closer, but okay. So now that leaves John James on the ticket. It leaves Perry Johnson, and it leaves Mike Cox. And then you have over here in the Libertarian section, you've got Anthony Hudson. And I don't believe you need signatures to get on the ballot as a Libertarian. Is that the way you understand it? If anybody knows that,
it's my understanding that running as a Libertarian, you don't need to collect the signatures. As the Republican.
If anybody knows differently, let us know. But Carla Wagner, who has left the gubernatorial race, is running as an independent, and you do need signatures. They're not due till July, I believe. Sometime in July. I know they get longer. So I really doubt that she's going to get them. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And Anthony doesn't need them. So that means Anthony's not, and I suspect that's why he chose that party, because he wasn't going to get them either. So here's what we have. So anyway, we've got John James, who's been endorsed by President Trump, and that surprised me. And I'll tell you why. Not that he's a bad candidate or that he shouldn't be, but I remember President Trump saying, "John, don't run. We need you right where you are." And I really thought Trump, from what I understand, President Trump was angry that that seat got put at risk, but. So Mark says he mentioned that because the president's the head of the party. No, he's not, which is a big deal in a primary and for some people in general. He is not the head of the party. We have a head of the party, and that is not, the president is the head of the United States. That's a different thing. He's the head of the government. We have Jennifer who says she heard John James talk and that the Libertarian Convention on the 28th, and she says he's a great speaker. He is a good speaker. He came to our Lincoln Day and spoke, and he did a very, very good job. I have asked him, now here's a stinker. You ready? This is a stinker of a thing. John came to our Lincoln Day and he spoke, and I walked and I welcomed him like I do every other candidate and said hello. And I, as a chair, I can't get in, I can't put my thumb on the scale here. So I just, I'm very cordial and very supportive of every single candidate that walks through the store. And John, I was, talked to him for a minute before, welcomed him and thanked him for coming, and et cetera, et cetera. And a couple weeks later, I was at Kent County's Lincoln Day, and he crossed the room, came over to me, and thanked me for a great dinner or a great event, and thanked me for having him there and everything else. And then I said, I had already kind of given up, but I said, we do a podcast. I said, every candidate just about has been on that podcast except you. And I said, I have sent 1,100 messages to your staff to get a hold of you. And he said, no, I definitely want to be on the podcast. And I said, I had given up, but I said, since you're approaching me, I'm going to say it one more time. And he drugged me over and he said, this is my comms director and this is who you need to deal with. And he says, was it a woman? I said, no, it was somebody else. And he said, all right, we need you to deal with her. And he said, and I'll come on the podcast. I said, great. And then shortly after that, there was this big hoopla where somebody was quoted as saying something that they didn't say, and it was her that did it, so he fired her. And I'm like, oh, now I don't have an in anymore. So anybody who knows John James, tell him to get a hold of me if he wants to be on the podcast, because he fired the lady that was my contact. So here's Mark for the number 2 job. You think it'll be Tom Leonard? You think John James would be your pick anyway if he chooses Tom Leonard? Okay, I would have voted for whoever is that's good. Whoever's the Republican nominee, that's good. But we're talking the primary, and you get to pick who you vote for. Karen says, I prefer Mike Cox, can't stand James, not a fan of rhinos. Okay. Mike's I don't know. Are you hearing Mike's popularity is growing? What are you hearing?
I right from the start, I know Mike Cox was a very popular candidate. I know years ago when he ran for governor, he was very well liked. In fact, I think, if I recall, I was pretty young at that time, but if I recall correctly, he was a front runner at one point. And then it was Governor Rick Snyder who did a massive media marketing campaign that
the one dumb nerd.
Yes. That
did it. Yep.
And it helped, certainly launch him. It certainly enhanced his name recognition, obviously enough to get him elected. Mm-hmm. But no, it was amazing. Mike Cox served 8 years, 2 terms as Michigan's Attorney General, so won 2 statewide elections. He's a veteran, so he certainly has the knowledge of the private sector. He has the knowledge of the public sector, and he certainly has holds a great deal of Republican values.
Yes, agreed. I know this. He was a badass Attorney General. He really did a good job. So Mike Cox is very personable, likable, military veteran. I believe you are correct. He was a Marine, wasn't he? Or was he Navy?
Marine.
Yes, yeah, he was a Marine. So who or whatever you say for that. So yes, good for him. I know I had Mike on the podcast, and it was probably one of the more enjoyable interviews I did. He was very pleasant, very personable. We had a We had a real good time. And what I appreciate about Mike, and I can tell you something I appreciate about every candidate, right? Well, what I appreciate about Mike is that he has come to everything I've asked him to come. Mm-hmm. If I invite Mike to Livingston County, he comes. He's usually the first one to say yes. And even the very first, when it was first early on, I invited all the candidates to come to 2025 Lincoln Day. And that's like, I wasn't even a chair for very long. And he was the only gubernatorial candidate to come. And John James sent a video or something because he couldn't be there. I think it was a night he was on the floor in the House or something. But well, go ahead.
On the floor of the United States House of Representatives. I don't want the Livingston Post to clip what you just said on the floor of the House.
Why?
On the floor of the House.
Oh.
For just like he was sick or something.
Do I have to kick? I'm kicking you under here. Tuck me up there. You know the rules.
No.
Okay, on the floor of the House. All right, yes.
I don't want them to think like he was sick or
no, he wasn't sick.
Like that.
He was on the floor drunk. No, he on the floor means you're in session.
I know that. Yes, you know that. I don't know if the Livingston Post knows that.
I'm explaining. It was the.
They were in session.
It means you're in session.
In
yes.
Yeah.
But he was in D.C. We'll just say that he was still in D.C. for that, so he couldn't come. So he did send a video, and but Mike Cox came. And I kind of said to him, I introduced myself. That was when I first met him. And I introduced myself to him and said, well, I have what I always say, welcome to the red County of Livingston. And he said he remembers Livingston very well. And he said when he won Attorney General the first time, he said it was Livingston County that pulled him across the finish line. Yeah. And I said, well, hang on, because I said, I suspect the same thing will happen again. So, and he said he believed it too. But he's come to my Reagan Day. He's come to both my Lincoln Days. And he's come here for a meet and greet. We had a very good meet and greet with he and Doug Lloyd and Anthony Ferlini. So very well attended, very, very pleasant. Let's see. You met Mike Cox at that dinner, the first dinner or the second dinner, Karen? I'm thinking the second dinner. He approached me. We had a very good conversation. He is very personable. To your point, I can see great qualities in the three remaining, I think that's supposed to be GOP candidates. I agree. So we have, so you have Perry, you have Mike Cox, and you have John James. Mike is the only one that's been here. I've invited Perry. I can't get him. I've invited John. Now I've lost my contact, so I don't know if I'm hoping to get both of them before, it's at some point. So, but it'll be interesting to see what happens now. So, do you think the first one would have been at Crystal Gardens? The second one was everything else has been at that barn. So if you can picture where you were, you'll know. What do you think? I mean, what do you think all three of them? I mean, what is everybody's thoughts here? And by the way, feel free to call in. Will you type that number again, 517-81? Call in and let's have this discussion. So what do you think? What do you think is going to happen now? Do you think that? It's Crystal Gardens. All right, Crystal Gardens. Then it was the first one. Okay, that was a while ago. That's when I met him too. So, We have John James. Who do you think is going to be his lieutenant governor? I am hearing all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't know where to begin. There's so many different people that have been names have been tossed around for John James and even for Perry Johnson and Mike Cox as well. So. I'm
start with sure. John James. What do you? Who are you?
Don't even know where to begin.
Start throwing them out there. Of course, you got both Eric and Tom that have dropped out and endorsed. So technically, it could be either one of those.
Yep, those were a couple of names. Even Tudor Dixon, I've heard.
I've heard that too. I heard that today.
Somebody mentioned Mike Duggan.
Oh my God, that would be the end of the world right there.
So.
Oh my God, because that would put Anthony Hudson in the running. Because there's no way they'd win. Oh.
So it's there's just a lot of speculation taking place.
I heard Candace Miller.
Interesting.
So
that's one I had not heard, but okay. I would not be surprised. So
yeah, she's got a backing, I guess, that she's been there before, or she's been in Lansing before, and she's an elected official as well. So, and she comes from isn't she? She's Macomb, isn't she?
Macomb, yes.
Yeah.
Macomb
so
County,
there's some money out there, and certainly some. But does John James need somebody from the east side already? I mean, he's from the east side now. So anyway, those are just kind of like idle analysis, I guess is the word. Just wondering, Tom Leonard, would he be a strong candidate? He's from the middle of the state, and he's got the Lansing experience and so does Eric Nesbitt. They both have Lansing experience that John does not have. Whereas that. Hi, Russ. Russ Jennings checking in we're talking about, we're in the chat with the chair section, Russ, with Commissioner Nick Fiani here, Commission Chair. And we're talking about, we sort of talked a little bit about President Trump's endorsement of John James, and now we're all kind of guessing, who might be the lieutenant governors. And we've both Commissioner Fiani and I have heard multiple names. For John, we've heard potential Tom Leonard, we've heard potential Eric Nesbitt. The commissioner was talking about, he heard possibly Tudor. I've heard Candace Miller. So it just made me wonder, Russ, what are your thoughts? If you want to call in, you know how to call in. You called in last week and we had a good conversation. So who might be, so let's go then to Perry Johnson. Who might be, are you hearing anything for him at all other than a Maddock? I have heard, it might be that, but I don't know,
Yeah, I'm not sure there. Again, Mike Duggan, I had heard, and this
oh my God, whoever's listening, please, no.
But these are just, the speculations.
Okay.
It's not like it's coming from any campaign or anything along those lines. People just are thinking about who might be the running mate, and of course, it's so important to have that balance. And I know each candidate is thinking hard about how they can reach the entire state.
Sure.
When you have someone who's been pretty popular in a certain area, whether it's Southeast Michigan or the west side of the state or Central Michigan, you want to make sure you're trying to
spread
reach
it out a little bit, right?
Trying to reach out and connect with the entire state. It's a lot
well,
of geography.
I think on top of that, you also have to look at personality strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And, do you play off of one another, or are you more competing? That might be, because you get two type A's and they're going to both be fighting for control, even if, but you also need to have skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
You get two budget guys and you get a lot of numbers and no policy, you know what I'm saying? So you got to have that. At least I'm hoping that's what happens. But if we were, all right, everybody, if we were designing the perfect sidekick for Perry Johnson, who would it be? What are your thoughts? Who would line up next to Perry? I think Perry is all about, he is very, very focused on the budget. The money. At least that's from his discussions. I don't ever sit down and have coffee with him to find out what he really thinks, But his statements are pretty budgetary focused. Is that what you would you hear?
Yeah, I would concur. He has a lot of experience with, I would say, the engineering and financial sectors.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be very diligent when it comes to balancing the budget, aligning the budget, the spending needs of the state. And so it would be, I think, a good balance to have someone who has some policy experience and the ability to work with the state house and the state senate to help facilitate the political needs and the needs of the state.
Okay. So, and I'm trying to think of somebody that would be good for that, like by name. If you're looking for a Lansing insider, there you got Eric and you've got, Tom, both available. I think, I mean, I like Eric a lot, and his personality is great, but he's got, I mean, to me, probably one of the most valuable. I mean, I'm not saying not be valuable as a governor or a lieutenant governor, but one of the most valuable spots he could be is running in the Department of Ag and just fixing that. I've heard nothing but complaints. I don't know. Did you happen to see there was, and I wish I could play it here. If I'd have been thinking, I would have had it up. Senator Ed McBroom from the Upper Peninsula, who is a dairy farmer, a long-time dairy farmer, absolutely chewed the hind ends of the Senate Democrats because of a ag policy that they did that is absolutely god-awful in the names of the or from the perspective of the actual farmers that are legislators. And they try, that would be Eric Nesbitt, that would be Senator McBroom. I think Roger Victory is also a farmer, but there are actual farmers that, are up there that I actually told them, no, that is a horrible policy, and they're doing it anyway. And Senator McBroom, I mean, chewed. There are some Democrats walking out of there with chunks out of their butt that got chewed off because he ripped into them. It was amazing. He was very angry, and you could tell that this affected him personally as a dairy farmer. So, and he's termed out. So after November or after December, he's going right back to the dairy farm. So, I mean, I have to go back to these kind of policies. So this is all the more reason why we need to get a Republican in, because, our farmers are huge. I mean, they're huge to us, and to continue to put burdens on them is crazy.
It's similar with, I'll say, education as well.
Yes.
The governor's office just did a reduction in some funding that specifically not specifically, but Traverse City, I believe it was one of the primary proponents of this type of funding, and they utilized it heavily to help encourage and boost enrollment within their schools, because their philosophy was, if the students or the children are at school, we can help provide them that structure and stability that they may not receive in other aspects of their lives. And it's just shocking. The governor's office has removed this type of funding statewide, but again, I believe it was Traverse City who was one of the primary beneficiaries in terms of how they utilized it strategically. And then the excuse was that they can use another type of funding. And the district's response was, we understand there's that funding, but we get such a minuscule amount of it. And not only that, the funding is tied to essentially bureaucrats with the state and departments of the state, and they don't pay any attention to, and this is what this district said, they don't pay attention to the UP and schools in northern Michigan. So
I've heard that.
It's very concerning to see how between the current governor and her departments, how they're steering, how they have steered the state of Michigan. Of course, I'm not saying anything new, but you would think at a certain point they would just reel it in a little, and no, instead they just full steam ahead.
It is. We missed a call from Russ, so I'm going to call him right now. I'm going to call him. We're going to put him on speaker right here. This is Russ Jennings from the Jackson County Republican Party. There it is. Okay, Russ, pick it up. He's mad at me now. He's going to show me for not picking up. He's not going to pick up either.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Good. How are you? Sorry we missed your call.
That's all right. Hi, Commissioner. I don't know who you are, but hello, Commissioner.
Good evening.
Yes, we're he's our county chair here in Livingston County, and if you watch the beginning of it, you'll turn green with envy when you hear the perfect state. Livingston County just went through its audit, and everything is just perfect.
I had a candidate recruitment meeting, so I
get
jumped on late here today.
All right. We forgive you. So we were what part of the chat with the chair were you chiming in on?
So I thought it was interesting, the discussion, and you're right, speculation on lieutenant governor picks for John James, and something that, of course, I'm quite confident Tom Leonard probably would like that position. After he dropped out, he quickly endorsed John James, and prior to Tom dropping out, they were out together campaigning for another candidate and stuff like that.
Oh, the guy in Saginaw, yeah.
Right, but I did pick up on real quick yesterday when after Trump endorsed John James, within an hour, Eric Nesbitt pulled out and endorsed John James, and my mind went right straight to, that'd be a great lieutenant governor pick, and I'm thinking, like we said, speculation that's what maybe Eric might be, vying for.
Yep. So that would be interesting, unless there's different stuff. That would be both of them competing over the same position. Now, options, I guess we were talking, one of the options I had was that I think Eric Nesbitt would make an incredible, although he'd make a great lieutenant governor or governor for that matter, but he'd make an incredible head of the Department of Ag. He could, because it is a mess, and he could really work it out.
I'm glad you brought that up. I never thought about that, and I don't know if you thought of that on your own, if you'd heard that rumor or not. I think that's a great idea.
No, that was in my head. I know he's a farmer, so you see, everybody knows you see his little AI stuff where he's on the tractor,
Sure.
So I started thinking about it, and I thought he is a farmer. And he, in his speeches, he's been here talking, and, we continue to hear about how you learn work ethic on a farm, and et cetera, et cetera. And so as we're thinking, I thought if he doesn't win, he would make a phenomenal, Department of Ag. I don't know if you heard just a minute ago, did you happen to catch that reel of Senator McBroom ripping into
I did.
Oh my God. He is usually much more composed than that, but he just ripped into them.
That was some passion out of Senator McBroom, that is for sure.
So I encourage everybody, when the podcast is over, not now, when the podcast is over, go on YouTube and Google or look up Senator McBroom, his comments, his speech to the Senate floor, the other day about the policy the Democrats are putting up to screw farmers further. Now the good thing is it's unlikely that thing's going to pass in the House, so it's not going to go anywhere. But still, it was awful. But watch. It's worth the watch. Let me tell you, it's a little bit lengthy.
It was interesting. He called them hypocrites. To say that you're for the farmers, but then to put these ridiculous burdens on the farmer. And we all live in Michigan and are familiar with farm communities. And Hank Cho is one of the largest Jackson County farmers. He's on our state committee.
Okay.
And he's a big part of the Farm Bureau.
Okay.
And he just had John James at his farm here last week. And I had an opportunity to go down there, and honestly, after listening to John James, I feel a little better about him if he was be the nominee. I'm not saying that's my guy or anything, but he gave a great presentation. But to listen to the side conversation, a farmer like Mr. Cho and the farmers that he had there, I don't know why anybody would still be farming.
Yeah, it is just so bad. So, and I suspect if we don't get Republican domination in Lansing, I'm betting over the next 4 years we lose more farmers. We lose a record amount of farmers because that's what's coming.
A significant amount of small dairy farmers over the last 4 or 5 years.
Right.
It's all over Jackson County. The small herd dairy farmer isn't in business anymore. Yeah, it's going to make it harder. I agree.
Yeah, so I just want to, I mean, I'm really hoping that, like I said, I just thought, someone else told me, I was talking about that last night, and they thought the same thing you did. That was a good idea. And then I thought, but if he becomes lieutenant governor, then somebody suggested Roger Victory, if he doesn't do, you know, MSU or whatever. So, I mean, so then we started kind of thinking, well, who would be good at a department, that kind of thing. So we sort of brainstormed off into the world here. Is Mark Ashley Price wants to know, how do we feel about State Representative Jim DeSanta for Lieutenant Governor? Well, that is an interesting thing. Pardon me?
I'll say no, thank you, and leave it at that.
Well, we don't want to leave it at that. Why no thank you? You don't have to go dirty, but just if there's a reason.
Probably shouldn't have said no thank you, but I'll just say no thank you.
Okay. I don't know him. I know that he's been in the news lately. He's spoken up against who he thinks people that are not towing their Republican weight. I don't know the story, so I'm not going to speak, not because I don't want to. It's because I don't know, and if I don't know, I'm not gonna.
I thought something interesting, Deb, that you and the commissioner brought up before I called was Perry Johnson and thoughts of Lieutenant Governor for Perry, and you're right. I come up with a big question mark.
It could be a lot of people.
Yeah, that could be the surprise, interesting pick that Perry might pull out for a lieutenant governor idea.
It could be. What does everybody think about? We haven't talked about Mike Cox. Who might? I mean, what would help Mike Cox? Who would help Mike Cox? Are you hearing anybody?
That's another good question, I guess. Boy.
Nick, are you hearing anybody?
Not too much. Not too much in terms of speculation on who is it.
Yeah, he's if he's got people in mind, it's not out in the grapevine. Mm-hmm. John James, there's like 1,100 John James picks out there.
Isn't it interesting? We could sit there and speculate on John James, but we've stopped short of speculation on the other two.
So since we don't know who it could be, let's kind of brainstorm. What or who does he need? We were talking about personality strengths, So, he's from the east side. He's from Wayne County. Mm-hmm. So he's known in Wayne and Oakland. So somebody outside of that might or may not be better.
He knows Lansing, so it doesn't have to be a Lansing insider.
I think that's right, Ross. I think you're exactly right. I also look at Mike was a strong elected official, but that was a while ago. So in the eyes of a lot of the more right-leaning Republicans, that is considered establishment, even though I don't think he would fight. I think he would be very, very hard-nosed on Republican values. But
I like Mike a lot.
I do too. I mean, I like them all, but I think that it might help Mike. You think, or maybe I don't know if I think this, but what do you think? Do you think Mike would be helped with somebody that would appeal to more grassroots-ish, but maybe not extreme?
My mind goes to, and I'm not coming to a conclusion, but my mind wants to go to. Although Mike Cox is a businessman, he has an extremely successful law firm, but my mind goes to that businessman type. It would be my preference. I would like to see the guy that, this isn't, like the Kevin Rinke type. I'm not saying Kevin Rinke.
That's what I just wrote down. I just wrote down two names. I was wondering, because I was listening, I was thinking, and I thought, Kevin Rinke appeals to that right side. And, and he is kind of no nonsense. And I think that anybody that gets elected ought to bring Kevin down there and let him clean out a department, because I had Kevin on this podcast talking about the Department of Ed, and I'd love to let him go in there. Make it happen.
He does. When you get him talking about the Department of Ed, I watched that episode, Dad. He's got a plan in place.
Yes,
that is for sure.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. So he's just not talking about it.
He's
got a plan.
Yeah, I think he would make a good lieutenant governor. He could, make.
I don't see those guys accepting it though.
Right.
I don't know.
I
Maybe
don't know.
I'm wrong
I don't
there.
know. Yeah, we're just speculating, not necessarily who is, but I mean the type of person. I think, like I said, I think Mike has a lot of strengths and a lot of history that help him in the establishment crowd, but the far, more of the grassroots type people. What I guess what I'm looking at is he going to bring over, is he going to be able to bring over some of the Carla and Anthony voters back his way? We need to take some of those back. And so neither of them have enough to win, but they do have enough they could have enough to screw us if it splits anything, because we have
we're within the margin, slim margins here.
Yes,
that we can't afford to lose any voters.
That's right.
And I get why when I read like a Facebook comment where a random Republican, for the most part, says Anthony Hudson or something. I'm like, oh, you don't know what you're doing here, to us.
No.
No.
But I mean, so when you have, Anthony with some people, I doubt Carla's going to make the ballot, but in the case she does, Anthony will be on the ballot because no signatures are required. So we're going to have to pull some of that back. And I believe.
So Anthony has to get approved by the Libertarian Party.
I think he will
at their convention. I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
Who
else? I mean, have you heard of anybody
but
else?
I'm hearing that they might not select him. I don't know. Though.
All right. Well, if they were smart, they wouldn't, because I don't think he is. The only thing he could do is hurt the Republicans, and he's okay with that because he's mad. But having said that, let me go back to what I started to say, and that is if we have to pull some of those back. So I think Mike needs somebody that appeals to those type voters to some degree, but they have to be willing to work with Mike, not so far that they're, going to put up roadblocks. So, I mean, Kevin Rinke, somebody I thought of. Jonathan Lindsay might be one.
Well, I'm a Lindsay fan.
I like him. I think he has a lot of I think
he appeals to the grassroots.
Yes,
too.
He does. That's what I meant. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, plus he's from the right side. He's from the west side of the state, so that.
Well, you just give me goosebumps thinking of that, Deb.
Yeah. So he would be a good one. I also think Tom Coons.
Yeah.
Would be a good one. Tom's got just barrels of personality, but he's very transparent. He's very deliberate. Do you know Tom?
No, I don't know him personally, but I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very deliberate. He's very personable, but he's very transparent and very open about what he does. And he has reasons for what he does, and so anyway, I feel like he might make a good choice as well. So there's a couple.
I like the topic.
Yeah, just throw just spitball out there and just see what comes up. Any ideas you have, Nick, or any more ideas, Russ?
No, you got me with a bunch of question marks in my head right now. But I do like the topic. I've only talked a little bit to a couple people about Eric, endorsing John James so quick that I thought of, but we haven't went into depth conversation like this, so I appreciate the get my mind going,
and it's funny too, because there is a little known person on the or at least from the outside, a little known person on the governor's staff, or at least Governor Snyder had a director of strategic initiatives, I think was the title, and at the time his name was Bill Rustum, and he really liked my boss when I worked in the Senate, Mark Jansen. Everybody did. And we had a standing meeting with him every other week, every other Wednesday at 8:00 in the morning. We would meet with the governor's strategic initiatives, and we would partner on some things. We helped the governor in Detroit when the whole Detroit Lighting Authority and the everything was being kind of renaissanced in there. We did some support stuff for the governor's office from our office there. So we met with him, but that is an office that basically the governor comes up with ideas or plans or approves ideas or plans, and he doesn't work them through. He's not on the phone every day making all the pieces fit, right? He's got to give them to somebody. That's the director of strategic initiatives, and he's the one who gets out and makes things work. And you've got to have somebody
that type of position doesn't exist anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't. I mean,
I can't, if it does, they're not doing a good job.
No, I mean, Whitmer's the one that's running around doing things. So, I think that I think either Tom or Eric would make a phenomenal. When I heard Tom speak, I thought, well, if he's governor, we're going to get a lot of stuff. But if he's not governor, running that strategic, if they put him in that position, all those ideas that he had, reading his ideas about starting this and starting that and starting whatever, that was
he came up and put in writing all those plans.
Yes.
I think 3 editions, and it was phenomenal, the ideas that he came up with. I'm surprised that he didn't get the lift that many people thought he would have. First one to come out.
Yep. But anyway, I don't know what happened there, but I just feel like those were some great ideas. He spoke here, and a lot of people are impressed with his ideas, and I mean, I was too. And so, I would love to see him, if not governor, if not lieutenant governor, I would love to see him as the director of strategic initiatives. I think that would be a natural fit for him, and I think he's got enough savvy and enough connections to be able to make things happen, come up with his own ideas plus whatever the governor wants,
Before I let you guys go here, I feel this way. I think I am satisfied with our choices for governor. Any of the 3, I think, are good nominees. I hear the noise out there, oh, so-and-so's the nominee, we're doomed, or this or that. I don't think so. They all have their different values and ways of going about things, and I feel good about our choices.
Yep. I think that paired, and I say this, I am a person that puts a lot of value and a lot of observation on personalities working together, on culture. I mean, that's where my education is. It's all about culture, and having, education on culture change is even deeper on that stuff. So what works? What combinations work? What combinations of people work in personalities and personality strengths and characteristics? So it's that's what I'm looking for. And I think any of them could do a good job, providing they look at what they're missing and make damn sure that whoever they're getting as their sidekick has what they do not have.
Yeah, to identify what's missing,
yes,
and be able to fill the void.
Where are my strengths? And it's not just personality. I mean, that's part of it, right? But you can find, if you're from the East Side, if you're from the East Side, and you can find somebody anywhere from the West Side to be your thing. But if you are, you can't just do that. If you're a policy person, you need to find somebody that's budget minded from the West Side. So you've got to take all those layers and kind of work them out, and then say, do they complement my personality, or do they compete with my personality, or are we both duds? I mean, whoever's really shy, you don't want another wallflower in there. So just things like that.
I also want to throw a plug out, because I know you're going to anyways. I will see you July 8th at the winery in Stockbridge.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. At least a handful of Jackson people are coming over, and to fundraise for Doug Lloyd and Anthony Perlini.
Yes, promote. We really need that out there.
We're doing a separate one for Perlini on the 13th in Jackson. Yep.
What are you doing that
organization? What's that?
What are you doing that for? You're not supposed to compete with your own event.
No, I'm just one of the GOP's a host because of our suite, and then I'm listed as one of the hosts with several other people to fundraise. And actually, who put it together was the Ferlini campaign. They just approached the Jackson GOP if we would accommodate. So, out there raising money, trying to get Republicans elected. But I'm looking forward to July 8th.
July 8th, I mean, the Brian Ignatowski event there was fantastic.
Yeah, I seen some pictures. I'm glad to hear that.
We had a full crowd, and the winery, their wine, I'm not a drinker. I might have I don't think I've had a glass of wine or anything to drink in 4 or 5 years. But there I had a glass of wine, and it was outstanding. It was just delicious.
Nice.
I know I was bummed I had to drive, so I had it earlier and then popped the rest of the night. But it was terrific. But yep, it was there. There's our thing. So yes, make sure they look at these little those QR codes, catch on, and it's $100, $50 for each candidate to come, and it's going to be a good time. We've got several counties that are taking part in that. So promote, everybody, promote that. So
thanks for letting me on tonight. I like the conversation.
Anytime, Russ. Anytime. We'll talk to you next Tuesday. Bye.
All right, bye.
So anybody else wants to call in, we can take it. So yeah, we've had some interesting talk, but boy, isn't that funny? We came up with what is Mike Cox saying? We're all stumped with Perry. Perry, what are you doing out there? What I have heard. I mean, the obvious talk is the Maddox. That Michon or Matt might be one, but then again, I've heard other people say no, they're not interested in that. So all right, I get it. So I don't know which way it'll be, but yeah, Perry's you're right, Nick. He's a wild card here. It could go all kinds of different ways. So, I mean, I know he's pretty close with Kevin Rinke.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's on the podcast, and Kevin speaks very highly of him, so it might be Kevin. It might, Mike Cox would also, if he won, he would also be well served, I think, with Kevin. But again, I mean, Tom Coons over the West Side, or Jonathan Lindsay over from the West Side, both of them are well loved by the grassroots, and like I said, they're solid Republican candidates. I don't know how. I mean, I know of them, but I don't have that outsider look to know how, if they bring anybody to the table. But I suspect that Mike would not be. Mike doesn't need to get somebody that all the establishment knows. They already know him, so he needs to get people that the grassroots would respect. And I think both Jonathan and Tom Coons and Kevin Rinke would be good choices. And I'm sure there's any more out there, but those are the ones I just thought of. I wrote down. It was funny when Russ said Kevin Rinke. I had just said that.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, anything else going on? Do we need to talk about anything else, or are we pretty much talked out about governor stuff?
Oh, I think that covers it all. I am, one race I'm really excited about is Judge Michael Warren from Oakland County.
Oh, yes.
Running for the Michigan Supreme Court.
I know.
That is exciting to me.
Yes, and I was a host of an event that I couldn't end up going to because I had a wildly important meeting that got pushed back that I could not miss yesterday. So it was very important. My role as the chair to follow through with that one. So yeah. I made my donation, but I could not attend. So I'll have to make another one. But I was disappointed. But I heard that. Did you go last night?
No, I wasn't able to make it.
You were at the commissioners meeting,
so I wasn't able to make my way.
I think a lot of people couldn't. But I was. John Connolly called me this morning and told me it was well attended. Lots of people there. So I heard a lot of good things about it. So that's I was really sorry to miss that, but like I said, what happened last night, the discussion that was had last night was very, very good for the party, so I had to do that.
Well, if anybody's watching and you don't know who Judge Michael Warren is, I encourage you to go research him, look him up. He's so personable, he probably wouldn't mind if you called him and he'd talk to you.
You see him with a red, white, and blue bow tie at all times, and he is one of the most interesting people, set aside judge, one of the most interesting people there is. And I just love talking to him. I just like, I've done it, several times. I've had sit downs with him where we've talked about this or that. And he is absolutely a gem, and he will make a great judge, a great
Supreme Court Justice.
Judge. Yes,
yeah.
Very, very good.
Yes.
So Judge Michael Warren, you'll see him on when we send out our ballots, our recommendations for the mailing. That's who it'll be. So it'll be a great. Now, do they go through primaries or go right to November?
So they do. They have to go through the August
convention. That's right. It's
yes.
convention. Duh. Yeah. What am I thinking? Yeah.
See, probably what threw you is we had the nominating
convention.
We had the
nominating one, yes.
So
yes,
we already had the nominating convention. Now
right.
we'll have the formal convention in August, and then off to the races to November. But he's our candidate. He's our candidate. In fact, if you have a couple extra pennies laying around, make a contribution to his campaign fund because he's trying to cover the entire state and he needs our support.
Do I have? Let me see. I did have. I think it's on my other one. It is. I had a link for it. But yeah, Judge Michael Warren. Yeah. You can find it. Yes, that's a hard race because it is nonpartisan. But as you know, the Supreme Court justices make decisions and they make them along party lines. They do. So when we lose these really good these great policies and we lose them and appeal because we've got all Democrats up there, we can't complain if we're not helping the Republicans win. So there's 2 Republican candidates, are there not? Are there one position or 2?
There's 2 positions.
2 positions. And who's the other? Oh, don't do that. No, we gotta know.
I'm drawing a blank. It's she's from Northern Michigan.
Yes.
She's from Northern Michigan. And
Tyler's Magic Tyler over there in his thumbs of lightning over there.
I'm just drawing a complete blank. But yeah, she's from Northern Michigan. She's been a judge for quite some time in Northern. I'd say Northern Michigan, but it's Central Northern Michigan.
Sure, we're not talking UP.
Mm-hmm.
Got a name, Tyler?
Cassandra Morse-Bills.
That's the one.
What's her name?
Yes.
Cassandra
Morse-Bills.
Morse-Bills. Yes. Okay. So between Cassandra Morse-Bills and Judge Michael Warren, those are the 2 we're going to be taking in. We're going to be going for in November, and we will send out a mailing telling people that those are our candidates. That's the Republicans are recommending them. So that's what we can do. So anyway, it is. You're right. Thank you for bringing that up because Judge Michael Warren is a great judge. He also comes to everything I invite him. He's been on our podcast. I have helped with Patriot Week the last 3 years. That was here. He started Patriot Week, which is basically they go around to different communities and talk about the Constitution and how it was formed and the Declaration of Independence and what basically government and what it is, what it really is, and it's a terrific thing. And that's where I met him through that. And he's come to the podcast. He was at our Lincoln Day and he wrote a book. Actually, Jay read the book.
Yeah.
Well, he wrote several books, or a couple of them, but the most recent one was like a line by line analysis of the Declaration of Independence because of the 250th year. And it was, I bought it for Jay and he signed it at the event and I gave it to Jay and Jay read it and said he really liked it. There's a lot of things, and Jay is a history nut, particularly that period of history. So for him to read it and go, "Oh, I wasn't aware of that," that's some outside information there. So anyway, all right. Well, I don't think we have any more calls unless I missed them. I did turn my ringer back on. That's what I did. I missed it, and I did not. So we are going to. We're going to call it a night, and thank you, Commissioner Fiani, for coming and popping in and once again reiterating why we need a Republican government. All you government people out there that you're not Republican, this is when you get a Republican government, you have your bills paid, you can have big things done without taxing your people, and you got the AAA bond rating, and then your audits come back, pristine. So good for you guys. Kudos to all you guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody July 4th at the Howell High School freshman campus, which when I was there was the high school. But it is the freshman campus, and 7:30 I think is when they start letting people in. You bring a chair and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Bring a chair. I'm gonna look into the vendor tables and things like that. So if anybody is interested in that or wants to know more about that, reach out to me, and chair at LivingstonRepublicans.com. And you don't have to type that. People know that by now, but chair at LivingstonRepublicans.com, and that you can reach out to me and I will give you information if you want that. But I'd like to at least get a Republican booth if we can, and maybe do bunny seasoning up there too as well, and anybody else that has a crafter. I think that's a great way to do it. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great night, and we will see you next Tuesday.